The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
This morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Friday the 28th of November 2025 and you are on the clock with Bejarina Green. I found the right name for me today, Bejarina. That song is Edmund Moxie, Bush Medicine. And my name is Bejarina. You know why? Because between today and Monday, I'm going to drink me a gallon of Bush Medicine. Probably Bejarina, aloe, and Cerasee blend. Now listen, if you're on medication, you go talk to your doctor before you drink any Bush Medicine, right? Most doctors, I want to say most doctors, my doctor is sort of relatively accessible. I could send questions and get answers back relatively quickly, but talk to your doctor before you consume Bush Medicine, especially if you are already on prescribed medication, But for me, in my chest, I'm trying to drink a lot of Bejarina, aloe, and Cerasee blend together this weekend. The weather is getting sticky, so keep your chest covered, keep your mole covered, don't catch draft. See, young people believe that it's just respectability politics. Call, I see you. I'm coming to you in a second, eh? Most people believe that the old people talking to you about what you're wearing and how you're going out the house like that is respectability politics. We like to call it body shaming. There's another phrase that we use, shaming. However, the old people trying to warn you, hey, you're going to go catch cold on your draft on your chest for a scrubby young man? And you don't even have one yet. You're just going to go and look and see what is out there. You just shopping, and you're willing to catch draft on your chest? No, child. Come get some of this good wisdom. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You there? Oh, I missed you, caller. I'm so sorry. We're going to have kind of like an open line this morning. There's lots to talk about. We've had guests all week. And we've missed a lot of the headlines, so we're looking at what's in the paper today and what's been in the papers over the last couple of days. The numbers to call, 323-6232, 323-6232, 325-4316, that's 325-4316, 325-4259, 325-4259, 242-300-5720, toll free for Family Island listeners, and 422-GR96. That's 422-4796 is the text line. I get lots of questions. Producer, let's prep that caller, please. The Tribune headline, zero intention of stepping down. That's Rick Fox. And I want to ask the question today, what is the difference? What is the difference between Rick Fox and Sebastian? Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, Erin. How you doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
Okay, Erin, just two quick points I want to touch on. One with the this voters registration list that the Parliamentary Commissioner talk about. Obviously, now we have a problem because he is saying that 7,900 figure that stand. Your former Prime Minister and some other persons weighing in. They're saying otherwise. Now, Erin, voting in the Bahamas is very important. Very, 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 very important. The last thing we would want is to women to not participate, and these persons who we would regularize through other means, not necessarily have to be Haitian, anyone who is in Bahamian and get some sort of status in terms of citizenship can participate. But my only point is, if you don't correct this voters registration list, we can into some serious problems. You know, I believe we can address this issue very quickly if we are prepared to do some things. For example, and it's in the interest of national security.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we have a system, Erin, through a form of a national identification card, or just have it whereas if I were to move out of an area or move into an area, we have a bank where you register. You must do it. And if you don't do it, you fail to do it, you pay a $3,000 fine, community service, or both. But it's important for us to have accurate information on the voters registration list to eliminate this type of chaos that we are seeing, of uncertainties, where we all are speaking from the top of our head because we don't really know what happened, why 4,000 persons did not participate.
Okay, but hold on. Let's stick a pin there. You're saying that we need a national ID, right? From a national security perspective, primarily we need to know who is in the country. B, for the purpose of the electoral process, a national ID would lead to better maintenance of the register?
Right. I mean, you may have some lawyers who may say it's unconstitutional, etc., right? But if I'm going to the bank to take out a loan, don't they require me to give them precise directions to where I live?
Right, well, KYC, know your customer. So you're saying that the government should adopt the same policy culture, that you should have a know your citizen and know your citizen program, so you know who is a citizen and who isn't a citizen.
Exactly. You see, for example, I mean, if I'm moving out of an area, I already voted in this area, but I already moved. I decided to move. Shouldn't I notify someone?
No. Pause. No, not necessarily. No. See, but in the interest of the electoral process, it would be easier, and it would provide more efficiency if people were required legally to register with an agency when they change residency location, right? But let's balance that. In fact, we got a lot of stories like that today. Let's balance that with my constitutionally guaranteed rights. See, I have a constitutionally guaranteed right to privacy in certain aspects. Of course, there are limitations to those rights, but those limitations have to be set out in law before they exist, right? We got the hospital and the fingerprint, like digital ID story as well. I appreciate that from the perspective of the government and specifically the electoral process, specifically immigration and national security, a national ID, right, has many benefits. Requiring people to register change of address to be attached to that national ID has many benefits as well, but it also raises a lot of constitutional issues.
And by the way, this is something that C. Allen Johnson has been advocating for over 20 years.
No, I know. And it's an interesting...
I don't know why we don't need... I mean, Erin, for example, the parliamentary commissioner saying that they're prepared to be going door to door. How long will door to door take? Erin, we need data.
You got 5 years, but hold on.
In real time.
Okay, Cleve, I got 2 more callers. I really appreciate your contribution, right? But the Parliamentary Registration Department has 5 years to conduct that exercise. So one of the questions we'll ask is the Parliamentary Registration Department resourced financially, human resources as well, technical support to provide this function year-round? Or is it that the budget only increases when we are approaching an election year, right? Because this exercise should be year-round and ongoing. But we can talk about digital ID just a little bit. I don't have all my info in front of me. But go to the World Economic Forum and search digital ID and see what is happening in that space. Good morning, caller.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Right up. Hey, do your caller know that he
was talking about voting on a habitual ballot spoiler.
But you know what a habitual ballot spoiler is? Somebody that commits to participating in the electoral process. Because that's what we're talking about. How do you retain people? How do you keep them participating? See, how do you keep them participating in the electoral process, in the political process? It's not just to vote for a candidate. You get people to come out to the booth to participate. That's what's most important. Limiting the ways in which they can participate is what's driving low voter turnout.
That's great. How could I get you? I shouldn't say we. How could I get you to stop spoiling your ballot?
You could get me a decent candidate. Get me a decent candidate with a decent platform.
So all these good beings out there, decent?
I didn't say the people weren't decent. I say the candidate wasn't decent. See, a candidate is different than a person. You go ask anybody in the PLP right now. If what they do in and for their party is the totality of them, whether engaging in politics and their party politics diminishes their personal integrity in any way. See, there's a difference between a politician and a person. But cousin, I gotta go because I still gotta ask if Trump knows that we're not a third world country. Like, does Trump know the definition of third world? Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Erin. Happy post-Thanksgiving Day to you and to the Bahamas.
Let me just say, to the person who I got my catered lunch from, they did an excellent job. Oh, my goodness. Go on, sir.
Yeah. Erin, I tried to get in yesterday, but I think, in addition to what you and Cleveland were talking about, I think that if they require that persons who come to vote present proof of residency within the last 6 months, just like how you are required to, if you're trying to get a utility or get like a bank account or whatever, you need to show that. Mm-hmm. Then they need to have them bring proof of their residency, utility bill or something like that shows that they reside at that particular address within the last 6 months. And that would alleviate all of this, where this person actually lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, once we decided to move to a permanent register, right, which means that the register only changes if people pass away, the people arrive at the age of majority. So now you could vote, you register. Someone has passed away, they're removed from the register. Somebody renounces citizenship, they're removed from the register, right? The issue is somebody changes residency, right? So if the register is permanent now, right, how do we deal with a change of residency? And what is that person supposed to do? When are they supposed to do it? And where can they find the information that explains all of this? Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin Green. I got used to your no name yet, so I still call you Erin.
What you mean? You ain't familiar with Beige Arena?
No, I try and get Days Arena. I maybe Days Arena. I also got to call you Days Arena.
Bay. That's
Beige Arena.
That's the good bush by the bay.
Yeah, they ain't get used to your name, Beige Arena. I like that. I used to drink that when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
But the new card that we getting next year.
The new what?
The registration card.
Yeah, the new biometric card.
Biometric election card.
Mm-hmm.
We should use that as a national card for domestic travel on mailboat and our airline.
Here's the problem. There's a problem with that. See, I could be on the register, and I still have to clarify whether when I reach 18, if I'm automatically put on the register or if I have to go to register, right? But so watch this. I'm on the register, right? So if I'm permanently on the register, if you put me there, I kind of have no choice. It doesn't mean I have to vote, right? Then maybe if you ensure that I get my card, maybe it could be used as a national ID for internal travel, right? Internal movement. But here's the problem that arises. See, I don't have to vote,
But it's
right?
a problem.
I don't have to have a voter's card. Now, NIB is slightly different, right?
Right, that's about to mention that. Everybody have to have an NIB card, right?
Right.
Right. But remember, I don't know if you remember we were talking about a national identification card.
Yeah, especially post Dorian. Like I was looking at like, what are you going to do next? How is the landscape going to change? Are we going to see an ID program so that you monitor the internal and external migration coming, in Abaco, coming in and out of Abaco for national security reasons?
We have the system for that.
But see,
we just got to build a system in there.
We have a broader issue, right?
Right.
And the broader issue is that although we have a Ministry of Social Services, Broadcasting and Information, I don't know what's going on in the information portfolio, right? I imagine that these types of things are happening in there. But let me raise something. There's a passport, there's an NIB, there's a driver's license, there's a voter's card, right?
Of course.
Various government initiatives have requirements of documents that I am not required to have. So I want to apply for a grant or I want to apply to participate in a program. I'm required to present my voter's card. Why? I don't have to have a voter's card.
In the bank, you have to apply your voter's card.
No, right. In the bank, you are required to have, I think, 2 pieces of ID.
My bank.
It could be NIB, passport, or driver's license. I think or voter's card, maybe at some banks.
Yeah, my bank.
But the point is, how could you have a passport as a mandatory form of identification to participate in government processes if I am not required to have a passport as a citizen? And if I am required to have a passport as a citizen, then that puts the onus on the government. The government has the burden of ensuring that I receive the passport.
Yeah.
Right?
I see a problem. So we gotta come up with a resolution. What's gonna be the national card
ID.
Or the national ID? And the Bahamas, because that right now we don't know who come in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. There's too many IDs to enter into the system. Even the school system, they have a different ID. Even but the go into doing domestic travel, it's easy to run from Abaco to Andres if a criminal because you have a card.
I got you. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. I got a couple more callers on the line, cousin. Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You still there? Sorry, we missed you. We come into the next caller shortly. Yeah, so Trump's considering barring or severely restricting migration to the U.S. by third world countries. I wanted to tell Bahamians, don't panic, because we're not a third world country, right? See, third world is a specific political term that came out of a specific political space. That specific political space is the Cold War. Way back then, in Russia and the U.S., there's only 2 sides, right? There's Russia and the U.S., and then there's the rest, the third worlders. Anyway, the point is that ain't us. The language that is used to describe the Bahamas and this region is developing country. So when this guy starts talking about restricting access to citizens of developing countries, then we have a problem. Right? Yeah. Anyway, go find you some Bejarina, but don't turn off the radio because we'll be right back.
You try to rest, roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Man, I can't wait to eat. I am starving.
You know our sport never disappoints.
Boy, I left my wallet in the room. No way I'm going back.
Relax, buddy. You've got your phone, right?
Yeah, I do.
Perfect. Just pay with $100 from your digital wallet.
Good thing $100 transactions are seamless, safe, and convenient.
Yup, $100 saved the day.
Experience the convenience of $100, the digital currency of the Bahamas. Whether you're dining out or anywhere else, $100 ensures seamless transactions. Join the future of payments with $100.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Welcome back to On the Clock with Bejarina Green. We're going straight to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, Ms. Green.
Good morning.
Let me just let's go back.
You want to talk about digital IDs?
On the ID, but let me just go on this third world country.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about the third world definition out of the history of war, right?
Yeah.
But the question we have to ask, even though we say we're a developing country, right, based on our less developed industrial base and no human capital development index we even have to even basically measure. We're not good at measuring stuff, right? But can we meet the definition where you use it concerning what they call the poverty rate that you would have? I mean, if you use I think Mitch is the one I used today, right? And let me see, I memorized something I said, right? We are a third world country with first world status, classified as a high income yet struggling with low trust institutions, fragile infrastructure, and an economy that works brilliantly for a few and barely functions for the many. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the definition, with struggling with low trust institution, is that true?
Yes.
Fragile infrastructure, is that true?
Yes.
Increasing poverty rate or classes. So even though we want to move to development where we begin to move to what's called world-class governance, the question is, as you build towards this developing nation, it's an active pursuit of world-class governance, resilient infrastructure, inclusive ownership, and an economy where prosperity is widely shared, not narrowly concentrated. So we could have a definition that we've been trying to hold on for that we may have had from a developing nation, but over at least the last 25 years, we're keeping the brand, but the infrastructure to support the brand has been corroding and dropping on that respect, right? We could have that conversation because you see the problem is knowing where we are. Let's go back to this national security issue.
Yeah.
When you have a proper ID system that is built on October 15th in the House of Assembly, a speech was given for 38 minutes that explains where we need to be. And you talk about privacy, constitutional privacy, or constitutional privacy protection.
Send me a link to that.
Okay, I will send you the whole video. Constitutional data protection and constitutional data sovereignty. Data privacy, data protection, and data sovereignty is what the world is looking for. And the Bahamas can give it to them. The speech was not understood by most inside of it. In fact, it was thought to be discounted. But when you talk about this whole concept of having this ID system that is built on constitutional data privacy, built on constitutional data protection, and built on constitutional data sovereignty, meaning you own your data. So what happens is then it's built on top of that, it's wrapped in an anonymizing type environment. But the ID then becomes that for which the passport. You only need the passport to travel because that ID also identifies you as a citizen, a resident, all of those different classes, whatever classification we want to have. So there's no one in the country that could not pass a KYC. No one.
Man, okay, see, that's the problem right there, C. Allen. Hold on. Thank you for the contribution. The points that you're making are sound. I got to transition to another caller. But I think that right there, the data privacy, data protection, and data sovereignty, right? The data sovereignty. who benefits from my data and who benefits from the way that my data I want to say from the way that the legislation is constructed around my data. Who benefits most? Is it me or is it my government? Good morning, caller.
Ms. Green.
Yes, sir.
How you do this morning?
Good, thank you, sir.
You know, I am at I don't know if it's only me, but I am at this thing now with these C. Allen Johnson them. They have the answer for every problem.
They have our answer. An answer.
No, not the answer.
Right.
They believe they have the answer. My thing is this.
Yeah.
With this new voter card thing.
The biometric card, yeah.
The biometric card. That can be used as a national ID.
It could be, but it could be, but it can't be the only one. You right?
No.
See, if you
have your driver's license, you have your national insurance card. Everywhere, just about everywhere you go, they ask for two.
Right,
government
here's the issue.
Identification.
Here's the issue. I'm not required to have a driver's license as a citizen. I'm not required to have a passport as a citizen.
No.
And we need clarity around the implications of shifting the register to a permanent register.
You can use that with a national insurance card.
Right, but what I'm saying is that's one of the issues, right? If it's mandatory that I'm on the register, you make the biometric voter's card a mandatory national ID, then the government now has to ensure that everybody knows to come and get it, and they have to make sure that people get it, right?
Okay, Ms. Green.
Go on.
Ms. Green,
Mm-hmm.
you know him. You know many people have a national insurance card, but they're not a Bahamian.
Right, but it designates that on the card.
Yeah, but what I'm saying with the Metro card, you only could get that if you're a Bahamian.
True, but that's not what it is about the value of the biometric card isn't that only citizens get it. The value of a biometric card is that everybody has one, but just a tap you could distinguish who's a citizen and who isn't. Right?
Okay, but listen to me.
Yeah.
That card would be like an insurance. You don't insure your car in hopes of getting an accident. You insure your car in hopes if you do get an accident.
In case you get an accident. I feel you, but I think there's a more effective and efficient strategy for that.
You don't go in. You don't buy health insurance in hopes of you getting sick. You buy health insurance
because you know it's likely
you do get sick.
It's likely that you may get sick. I got you. But I think
so
again,
the card, and then you get the card. You don't have the vote.
And
once you have the card, you don't have the vote.
I got
but
you.
You get the card in case you wake up election one and you want to vote.
I got you. People also get the card to legitimize their citizenry and place in the country. You got a voter's card. You have children, get a voter's card, right? Because people need to know where you are. So if you're entitled to resources, you could get them. But thank you very much for the contribution. Absolutely. Let's go to the next caller, and then I want to talk about the legal implications around the arrival of biometric data systems. Good morning, caller.
Erin, good morning.
Morning.
Erin, I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. To the previous caller. You may have an angst with C. Allen Johnson calling into these shows and giving his views. My thing is, what C. Allen and many of us on these shows do is actually show the Bahamian populace, prove to the Bahamas government and those around the world that Bahamian people are not dumb people. We are very smart, articulate, very introspective. We think deeply, and we love our country. A person like C. Allen Johnson, all you have to do is simply this. All the things that he spouts, let the government utilize his service, test what he's saying, and see whether what he is proposing out here is sound or whether it's just a fallacy. That's all that has to be done. I don't hate him at all. In fact, not hate. I don't despise him at all. Because a lot of the information that he shares out here can be proven as factual. Just as many of the stuff that I say out here is factual. Everything Cleaver, just about everything Cleaver Duncombe says is factual. It may not be 100% foolproof, but it's factual enough that it can stand the litmus test. And so, we have to give credence to the people out here who truly are providing valuable information. Like I said, put all of us to the test. If the government is so inclined to do so, which obviously they're not, but put us to the test and let us help to help them to build the country. That's all it is.
I got you.
My point on this here, you're talking about the national ID cards and everything. So many of our systems appear to be so corrupt and so full of holes that, I often wonder, when you get a work permit in this country, is there a time frame on these work permits?
If you're a foreign company, is it the Commercial Enterprise Bill, and you apply for a work permit, and the work permit, you don't get a response in 2 weeks, then you could just assume that the work permit has been. The work permit. It's just granted to you. There's that for people. Yeah.
And that piece of legislation, if I could say that, is a baloney. That's foolishness. That should never happen.
Let's hope that they quietly repeal those parts, those provisions in the bill, and they no longer exist. Let's just hope they did that quietly.
Because Erin, we've seen many persons who come to this country under a work permit, and the work permit specifies a certain period of time, and they go and they reapply and they reapply and they reapply and reapply. It's like there is no limitation for how much time that they can reapply. The thing is, under the plan that from my perspective, the way how I thought Linden and the first cabinet of the Bahamas had put in place, you could apply as many times to a certain amount of times. But while you apply, you grab 2 or 3 Bahamians who should be training under you. So when you leave, you got Bahamians to replace what you were doing. That in this country does not happen. We have people who got work permits still here in this country after 20, 30 years. Build businesses in here, and the Bahamian people still at the bottom of the totem pole. There are so many loopholes in this thing, Erin, and it's all deliberate. But our people would not fix the stuff.
Uncle, sometimes we stay at the bottom of the totem pole because we're waiting for somebody to slide the stairs. When you on the tarmac and you're waiting for them to bring the stairs to the plane so you could get off. And some people are just like, the top of the pole is to go, and they just climb up it, right? Like they do the hard work of climbing up it, and then some of us are here because we're citizens. We have an expectation that somebody is going to bring the stairs to the totem pole. But see, here's the thing: the migrant isn't in charge of the stairs. The migrant's not the one in charge of the stairs. It's Bahamians who are in charge of the stairs, right? And so, either Bahamians, they're not bringing the stairs. For the Bahamians, they want the stairs, expect the stairs. Some even need the stairs, right? They're not even acknowledging that Bahamians are waiting for the stairs. It's like, why don't people there on the plane, why they just don't jump off because the plane reach in line? What you supposed to do next? And so it's all a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Absolutely. Listen, we're going to go to a break. When we get back from the break, there's another question I want to ask before we transition. Like, where is the legislation? Show me the legislation for the collection of this biometric data for this particular biometric card, right? Show me where the legislation that allows the collection of biometric data for the passport also allows that data to be shared amongst other agencies, and what's the requirement for request for permission for a parliamentary registration department to use biometric data collected by the passport office for the purpose of a biometric card issued by the parliamentary registration department. Yeah? We're going to a break. We'll be right back. And then I will ask the question, what's the difference between Mr. Fox and Mr. Bastian? We'll be right back.
At Cleveland Clinic, you set your course, not cancer. So when your journey takes an unexpected turn, You seek out the experts who've conquered it before, and you forge new paths to help fight cancers. For every route to a cure, for every care in the world. See how we're innovating cancer care at Cleveland Clinic today.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift of a fresh start with a personal loan at Fidelity. You could win refreshing prizes like a luxurious spa day, John Boat gift certificates, a cruise for two, and more. Make that move to a fresh start today. Call 356-7764. Promotion ends December 19th.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Good morning and welcome back to On the Clock with Sarah C. Green. I see you text. The text says, NBCU caller, coming to you in a moment. Good morning, Sarah C. Green. We cannot use the passport exclusively as a requirement for the biometric card because of the various fraudulent passports. With criminal cases before the court, locally and internationally, every department must perform their own checks and balances and not rely only on one department because errors, mistake, and corruption is real. Okay, I don't know of any other cases abroad involving fraudulent Bahamian passports, or are there Bahamians involved in immigration matters abroad? Anyway, most of all, I like the name Sarah C, because I love being bitter. Bitter is betterer. The old folks don't tell you that. Bitterer is betterer. All right, another text. Good morning, Erin in the Bahamas. All of the identification cards that we use now is just something that is able to identify a person for all it's worth, but a national identification card is essentially to have as a nation of people. A driver's license, voter's card, and a passport is one's personal desire to have. Within the domain of the Bahamas, certain documents are not mandatory to have, but it is good to have them, yeah. It's good to have them, but it doesn't mean that I must have them. Producer, callers are coming to you in a second. Morning, Erin. The difference between Sebastian and Rick Fox. Rick Fox is about there are no laws for any of the biometric data collection or its protection in the Bahamas existing at the time of this text. Call the data commissioner and he will verify this. I have him on live video saying the same. There are, under constitutional data privacy, data protection, and data sovereignty, you own and control your data. Producer, let's go to the phone line. We're coming right now. Good morning, caller.
Miss Green, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Could you please tell me who is responsible for Junkanoo as it is?
Okay, right now, the National Junkanoo Committee is, with the passage of the new Junkanoo Authority Act, the the NJC is responsible for Junkanoo, and I think that would sit with the ministry that's responsible for festivals, which may actually be Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Green.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. But that's like technically, right? The community itself is now figuring out, I guess, who they're going to recommend, who they are supporting to fill the various roles that have been created by the new bill, by the new Junkanoo Authority Act. And so while that agency is responsible, I think there's space made to ensure that the leaders, the stakeholders in the Junkanoo community, that those are accessible to them. So it ain't gonna run without Junkanoos. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to all.
Good morning, good morning.
First I'd like to say that every word sound has power.
Yes.
And people get on the radio, right? Whether they present us or call us, you know what I mean? Because they want the power of that word to work. So in other words, they have an agenda. You see, everybody have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and then having an agenda is something that is biased. You know what I mean? Your agenda doesn't have to be everybody else, others' agendas.
The most we could ask for is that people declare their biases and agendas at the start. Give the audience, whoever's listening, context so that they could measure the words.
Right. So and therefore, okay. So say you have a view on economics, right? On taxation, on foreign investment. Come on, man, and you speak about it. What you say definitely ain't right or wrong. It's either left or right.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody's view is just their view. Science. Some science ain't exact.
Yeah, and there's some
exact. You know what I mean? Taxation. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They ain't exact.
Yep. But I mean, taxation is exact.
Right and wrong, left and right. You know what I'm saying? So. The question I want to ask the Bahamas is, do they know who is civil Bahamas? Or civil society? Civil society have an agenda, they have an interest, right? They have, a common interest. When the society comes together, they have a common interest. So therefore, you don't expect for the rich man to have the same interest as the poor man. The interest of the rich man is not going to benefit the interest of the poor man.
That's what I say.
So you got to ask yourself whose interest, when you talk about politics and the building of the nation, who are you building the nation for? Who benefits from your view on everything you speak? But anyway, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Words are magic. That's why we spell them, Texter. That's why we spell them. Okay, we're going to go a couple more texts on the line. Also, the dissimilarity is that Sabas has no children, and Rick is the dissimilarity, and Rick is internationally known. I don't want to get into Rick Fox's personal business. Okay. Here's another text. There is no fake, fraudulent, cloned passport in existence since 2019. The data that causes them to be issued can be fake, fraudulent, cloned, etc. So the problem is not the passport, but its underlying data is dirty and corrupted by intent, ignorance, or error, right? So there may be an issue somewhere in the process, the inability to identify fraudulent data as it is submitted that may result in the issuance of a passport, a legitimate passport, to someone who should not have a passport, right? I can understand that. But so you're saying there's nobody who is cloning or counterfeiting passports. The question that we're asking is, how do we strengthen the system to ensure that people who should not have passports do not possess them? Another text. I say what the caller said, show up to vote with voter's card and proof of current and 6-month minimum residency in the constituency. At that time, the register is updated. But texter, the question is the 6-month residency required for registration in the voter's card, right? Right? But not when, you're right, like not when I vote. When am I required by law to present the proof of the residency, right? And all of these things need to be tightened up. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Erin Green.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Erin.
Yeah.
The Constitution, right? I mean, the things you talking about and we've been talking about and always talking about. Shouldn't the Constitution have some type, shouldn't we always need to go back to the Constitution when we find ourselves in problem as a nation rather than continue, rather than looking for policies created by parties, right, and ignoring the actual, like we call the supreme law, right? It doesn't, it shouldn't matter whatever it is we are facing in this country as a nation. We have a constitution.
Okay,
but
so
to me, right?
Yeah, go on.
It appears that we've been not we as a people was not following or even adhering to the Constitution. We was just
doing whatever. No. Okay, so watch this. The way that it works, right? You got the Constitution, then you have ordinary legislation. The Constitution sort of enables and authorizes the creation of ordinary legislation. So there's been a question around, I think, Article 7 in the Nationality Act or something, a question about the Nationality Act, right? People are upset and they're saying that what's happening in the immigration processes is contrary to what the Constitution outlines, right? Basically. See, there's a mechanism that exists, and that mechanism is like a judicial review. That's a loose term for it. But if you believe that a law that has been passed by government is in contravention of the Constitution, right? That it contradicts or goes against what the Constitution says, then here's what you must do. You must go to the court and ask for a judicial review, right? Because when laws are passed, there's like a little proviso and say that this law is deemed to be good law until it is shown to be in contravention of the Constitution, right? So,
correct. You're correct, Erin. But I'm not saying Nationality Act, right? We have to realistically look at that because our board administrations and our governance has been using that act, right, as justification, right, and it shouldn't really be above our Constitution.
No. Watch. See, it's important to follow the language, right? That whatever the law is right now, it is deemed to be good law. It is good law until a judicial review determines that it is bad law, right? That's just what it is. It's like when you married a woman and the woman have a child with a man that is not you, but because you married, you are the legal father of that child, right? So what is required...
I follow you, Erin, but I just speaking out to the point that, a lot of things need to be adjusted in this country.
No,
and we
not adjusted. They need to be addressed. We don't need to speak about it. We need to work on it. See, we have this thing where we're sitting back and thinking that without the correct legal language, we could speak to politicians in a manner that would just cause them to do things differently or to do them the way that we want to do them. We need to arm ourselves with the law and the language, create mechanisms that are available to us to manage this relationship between us and the political class, because it's the political class who determines what we doing. Okay, we are at the last minute of the show. We're going to continue into the next hour. Of course, that's Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri. We go into this headline, Zero Intention of Stepping Down. And we continue the conversation. I have the article with the nurses about the digital, the fingerprinting process, the change in processing with PHA and PMH. And then I get 3 other stories. Ethiopian volcano erupts for first time in 1,200 years. Along with union pushing back. Wilson, we got crumbs. Union slam pay rise as crumbs with some workers receiving nothing. And y'all heard about those 2 guys who thought they were going to take over an island in Haiti? Hillary's Haiti is where he thought he's going? Hey, Haiti. Blessings. You guys, you've been on the clock with Bejarina Green. Stay tuned. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next.